Oh, there it goes. Welding processes have come a long way the past 200 years. You've got way more automation in the industry for welding and even grinding. Not only that, but there's lasers pretty much any which way you turn these days. And even the quartet of welding, your MIG, TIG, stick, flux core, is constantly evolving with gases and wire and the process itself. But what was it like welding 200 years ago? Today on the episode, I have my good friend Heather Rousser here. Heather and I, we go way back. We taught together. It's been going on what?
10 years.
Like 10 years. Gee whiz, it just keeps passing by. We thought that it was fitting, since we go way back, to do a way back when episode, and we're going to weld a couple coupons today.
Today we're going to practice welding the old-fashioned way. We're going to use oxy-acetylene welding and twin carbon arc.
No one's really familiar with that one, right? Have you ever tried twin carbon arc?
Never.
Yeah. I've had very little experience in a couple episodes that we've tried, but we're pretty new here. We're going to get some 3/16 plate. We're going to do some butt welds. We're going to weld both sides to give us our best shot to pass this bend test. So some fun facts about oxyacetylene welding is it was actually patented back in 1903 by a couple of French engineers. You can cut any ferrous metal, you can weld any type of ferrous metal, and you can braze pretty much anything. Oxyacetylene welding really shines like an 1/8 inch steel and below. Now you can weld thicker steel and thicker metals with it. You're just going to need to do multiple passes, and at this point a different process is going to do a lot better than oxyacetylene welding. But did you know you can actually weld aluminum, copper, and steel with this process? Oxyacetylene revolutionized the industry way back in the day, and you could pretty much find this setup anywhere because it was pretty portable because you didn't have anywhere to plug anything into. You just needed the 2 gas bottles and a torch and you were good to go. You'd find these on construction sites for your bridges and skyscrapers. You'd even see welders back in the day torch welding pipelines together. Setup's not too hard. When it comes to your gas bottles, you want to make sure you set your pressures close to even. Right now we're running about 6 psi and 7 psi on our fuel to our oxygen. Pretty close to the same. We're adding a little bit of oxygen in hopes that we can punch through this thicker plate. Not only that, but you need the right tip for it. We're using a number 1 tip to try to weld this 3/16 plate. We're going to weld both sides of it, and as we weld, we're looking for a similar puddle to like TIG. If you start with that TIG process, you want to form a puddle first and then start carrying that puddle along with you with that little tiny flame is how I like to describe it. Just kind of licking at the puddle right there as you try to push it along. I don't know. Would you say it's like licking? Flick it? Lick it?
Yes, sir. Just barely.
I'm sorry, Heather. All you really want to do is try to get your best neutral flame and then stay about a 1/16 of an inch away from that tiny little flame that you're welding with. Once you do that, you can weld a lot of different stuff. What do you think about our practice runs?
Honestly, yours looks pretty good.
I kept a good torch angle, pushed forward, and I watched those plates snap together, and then I just kind of touched it.
I think in a couple of spots when I was just straight feeding my wire, it just kind of sat on top. I know that there's no penetration there at all.
We got enough plate there to hold some heat in, but if you put too much heat in, we learned pretty quick.
Oh yeah, you're going to get a big hole.
Big old hole in it.
And fight closing it up.
Yeah, and then if you try to use a bigger tip, you'll put a hole in the plate itself. We learned a lot. Now we can move on to the twin carbon arc and really get a feel for that. Now we're going all the way back in time to the year 1800, where Sir Humphrey Davy discovered that you can get an electrical arc between 2 carbon electrodes. This set the foundation nearly 90 years later for a man by the name of Hans Zerner, who ended up figuring out you could patent this for welding. What do you think of that? You just making soup back there?
Oh, yeah.
This process was relatively inexpensive, comparatively speaking to some others. When gas was really scarce and oxyacetylene welding was really hard to do or expensive, this kind of took control. And it's a lot like TIG welding in a sense. You've got 2 points of contact that meet, and that's your positive and negative. You're going to create that electrical arc in between those 2 points and then point that at your work, and hopefully you make some kind of puddle.
Is that all you have to do?
Yeah, and you just make a puddle.
Okay.
Just weld it. Back in World War II, when acetylene was scarce, they were using twin carbon arc. You would find it in the same places that you would find a cutting torch, whether it be the construction sites, shipbuilding, all that kind of stuff. We don't have an old cracker box that they might have used back in the day, but we are using alternating current. Because we have those 2 points coming together, we want them both to kind of wear and tear evenly. Our balance is set to 50, so there's no more power taken over by either one of those 2 sides. Not only that, but we're using about 60 hertz on our frequency to go along with it, a lot like they had way back when. It's very bright. You're going to definitely need a hood for this stuff. So we're hoping that sharpening the points of these electrodes is going to help us get a better contact. We had our machine on like a normal scratch start situation or a lift TIG. Now I think we're going to try to put some training wheels on, put a foot pedal out here, a high frequency start, because you have to finally adjust that arc gap like you would an arc length. If I'm nervous about failing a bend test, it's definitely with this. Not only that, seeing yours just cracked after you made it 4 inches.
The whole thing.
What is your experience mostly in?
TIG stick, not this.
Yeah, you did a lot of power plant stuff
Yes, sir.
Before you started teaching. And then what are you up to now these days?
Now I am selling the American Welding Program.
Yeah, those are our good friends over there, man.
Yes, sir.
We're going to finally do our test coupons. We've got a little gap in them now. We've sharpened the points. We're going to pass this bend test, damn it.
If we can't pass it, then it's clearly the process. This is a little worrisome. I feel like I actually got worse at it.
I don't have a lot of hope in us. Point it more straight up and down. Yeah, no torque gleam.
It gets hot.
Yeah.
Like I'll get this huge out of control pedal, let off the foot pedal just a little bit, and then you'll lose all your heat.
Yeah.
And then you get a big, huge pedal again that's uncontrollable. Hats off to anybody back in the day who was able to do this. Make it look good and make it not crack out. This is hands down the worst weld I've ever made in my entire life.
Now you gotta do that side too.
Haha.
You're blistering through.
You ain't kidding.
Okay. I feel like I'm so locked in right now. It's like a huge torch angle thing for me. Like once you get to a point, if you're not holding it right, which is I think straight up, even maybe a little bit back, and you got to hold it like this because you can't do this way or this way. It's got to you got to focus it, bam, right there. I'm kind of proud of myself.
You should be.
While we get things switched over, I thought it was cool to shout out today's video sponsor, which is ESAB, and give you a little history lesson on them. They were actually the first company to develop the stick rod. So we got rid of the carbon arc torch and the cutting torch and started using the first coated electrode back in 1904 by a Swedish engineer by the name of Oskar Kilsborn or something along those lines. I'm probably butchering it. And he also founded what we know as ESAB. And then in 1913, Victor Torch founder, he actually developed the first piston screw regulator because he lost an eyeball to a gas handling accident. And then two brothers that went by the name of the Studi brothers came up with the first ever secret blend of herbs and spices that went into an electrode to develop hard facing. Almost 15 years later, in 1936, a man by the name of Ray Townsend came up with an innovation for the welding ground clamp and came up with a little company you may know today as Tweco. And all of that stuff happened within like 30 years. Now it's well over 100 years later, and there are many more brands and many more innovations that fall under the umbrella that is ESAB. I definitely recommend you go do a little bit more research on ESAB because they've got a really cool history. Now let's get back to it. See that keyhole kind of snap together?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for earlier. And even more of a lean back on the torch too.
Oh yeah, really radiate that heat out in front of you.
Did good on that one. A little practice, I think, paid off. Kind of getting a feel for it. When was the last time you did this?
Shoot, welding school. That was before my oldest was born.
When did you graduate welding school? If you don't mind me asking.
2002.
Yeah, that looks good. You got a big old hole in it.
Yeah, big hole.
We gotta leave
And
it.
I
This is a
missed the
test.
line.
You gotta leave it. Flip that baby over and make sure you do better on the backside.
Ooh. Making sure you use a weight.
There's your weld back, rookie. I think that lasted. You really got the hang of it there at the end, past that little hole.
There we go.
We're gonna go with some preheat. Maybe that'll be the trick. I'm really not trying to use a whole lot of filler metal. So hoping that puddle sinks through there. I don't know where my little gap went. It's all closed up by now. Just giving her the beans, man.
Looks like it's going in there real nice.
All right, this one I have a lot more faith in than I do for that carbon arc weld. I'll be really bummed out if that doesn't bend. I'd rather stick to a TIG torch, personally.
All day long.
If you're an expert in some antique welding, tell us what we did wrong as far as the carbon arc. I do feel like this side was a little rough, but this side?
Not bad at all.
That's all right. We're not really pulling the straps from anywhere like code specific. We're just kind of having fun with it, pulling some good spots. Really stoked about this weld here.
You ought to be proud of that.
I feel like definitely back in the day, somebody was like, that guy's a welder, you know? All right, Heather, we got all of our straps cut. They're prepped. We left a lot of the weld reinforcement on there in hopes that that's going to help us.
Yes,
we got them
sir.
locked in the bender here. First up, we have my oxy-fuel weld. It's always so nerve-wracking. Dang. I knew it was going to be like a 3/16 plate thing, you know? Yeah, man, I didn't get in there enough at all. So much lack of fusion. And it gives me a lot less hope on this next one. Oh, it's about to break. No, it's cracked all the way down.
Is it?
Yeah, it's so pretty. Pretty broke. Now we're going to try the twin carbon arc. No way. No way. I don't see a crack in it. It been all next to well. Look, I passed my bend test. At least one. What the heck? All right, we're going to bend the ugly side this time. It's cracked. It's cracked all the way across. Let's see if you pass anyway. This is the one with the big, with that big old crater in the middle. You barely touched it, huh?
Yeah.
That just looks like a smorgasbord of schmutz.
Didn't melt anywhere.
I don't know. It melted
There's
stuff.
a hole inside of a hole.
Huh. It's kind of pretty though. It's got some shine to it. All right, let's try the other one. See if that was any different. Get the better looking side this time. Send it. Making it further. Oh, there it goes. It's going. Oh, there. It just kind of fell apart there.
Go.
It's just sitting on top of base metal there.
That was really hard. I didn't break down none of the walls.
I'm not trying to talk mess, but mine was better looking.
Yours was.
But hopefully yours
really
will
was.
hold up. We'll do that side there. Wide open. Yeah, it's wide open. Oh, dang. Ah. Still hot from your grinding. One more for the fun of it, huh? Did it hold?
You gotta be kidding me.
Dude, that one held.
Bro, it's got a whole hole in the edge
That
of it.
that was the ugliest weld of the four, and that one held. Don't tell us how to weld anything.
Right.
We don't know. I don't know how it works. I'm new. I don't know what to do. Well, we've got a lot of evidence here that we can at least pass 2 out of 8. Quarter of the time we could pass every time, right, Heather?
Yes, sir.
As long as it was back in the 1850s.
We would have been the lead janitor.
Yeah, probably so. Let us know, guys, if you've ever tried any of these processes before, if we've tried anything different or wrong. I know that the 3/16 probably was a stretch for what we were doing. It probably needed to be a little bit more patient, maybe bigger tip, different settings. Who knows? Let us know down in the comments. As far as the twin carbon arc,
I'm glad that's gone.
yeah,
Yeah.
glad it's buried with the dinosaurs.